Who blew up the Kakhovka dam? Let's take a look at the evidence that I've been able to get so far. But first, this is Crisis Report, and if you want to keep these reports coming, remember to like the videos and subscribe to the channel. Right, the Kakhovka Dam. I'm taking this from lots of tweets from Visegrad 24. Not the evidence. We're going to go into the evidence. I contacted one of the guys I know in Ukraine who normally gets back to me pretty quick, and he's given me some direct links to things. So we will take a deep look into it. I will admit my bias in that I do think the Russians are doing a war of territorial aggression. Call it that, trying to take more territory. So emotionally, I'm on the Ukrainian side. Not that the Ukrainians are some virtuous, great peoples out there or anything like that. No better or worse than most peoples on the planet. Not trying to downgrade them at all, but just, this is a war over territory. And of course, one of my contacts is Ukrainian and rather pro-Ukrainian, I would say. But I do think he is feeding me what he believes to be reliable information, not just talking points. So, yeah. I wanted to highlight a few of these videos to show, waist deep in the water here in what would be the middle of towns. Exactly what towns are unimportant. Now here is also at least relatively new footage right from the dam. We can see this isn't going to be stopped by any remedial. Interesting bit here. Those are what we would normally call bastion bags. The sort of modern day sandbags, quickly to deploy, just in case you don't know what you're looking at there. So only really that I know being done for military purposes. So somebody deployed these bags, filled them with sand or earth of some sort to create basically a defensive position, just letting you know what that is. See, they're only partially full at the time of this. See the water pouring through there. Like I think I just said, the evidence is pointing towards Russia. I know Tucker Carlson, another, I saw his show. I really appreciate his show. Lots of good points. And I very much agree with him in that we shouldn't just jump to must be bad guy, whoever your version of the bad guy, he must have done bad thing, right? We can see here a little more realistic. The other one had animation. The earlier video that I posted had a whole lot more of this area being flooded out. So looks like it's just going to go out to the Black Sea there. Right. And, another picture of the floodplain. Right. Okay. Let's take a look at what was sent to me here. This is translated to English language from a Russian source, or a Ukrainian source. I will get to that in a moment. So, like I said, this is pointing towards the Russia, but I will say this doesn't present conclusive, concrete evidence. This is good circumstantial evidence that it's likely a Russian situation. Right. At 2 o'clock in the morning, the Russians blew up. This is the reporter saying this stuff. We'll get to who he is in a moment. Well, I guess we can This is the guy here who has sent this. Let's see, I'm just going through my... I removed the information one step from... I don't know. This guy here, I don't know his well, we can quickly open this up here. I guess this guy here is who wrote this. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Okay, so back to this. So blew up the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant. But they don't see how bad the damage was. Since it was the middle of the night, trying to assess damage was practically impossible for them. Okay, so here we go with some of the evidence. Russians still think they carefully blew up a small part of the hydro power plant and are sinking our forces on the Dnieper Islands downriver at 6:06 a.m. The Gauleiter, using the National Socialist term from World War II, of Nova Kakhovka. So basically the Russian, I'm going to interpret a lot of this stuff, the Russian appointed mayor, shall we say, Leonotev, says the destruction of the HPP is nonsense. Well, we don't know why the water rose there, linked to his statement. So yes, I have here the links to all of these statements here on Telegram I was given. This is the link that supposedly he posted. Here's Google translation for it. So I'm giving you the best I can. You can read the screen caps if you want to see. I may be being misled here. Please point me to any facts here that I am being misled if that is so. Okay, the mayor of Nova Kakhovka, Leonotev, denied RIA Novi's information about the explosion of the Kakhovka hydroelectric dam, calling it nonsense. He added everything is quiet and calm everywhere in the city. Okay, so he states that no explosions. Rybar, a Russian military blogger, picks up on this thesis of a detonation of a small dam section at 6:51 a.m. Still here. So here we go. This is this guy. We're going to again go to the Google Translate because I do not read Cyrillic, let alone Russian if I understood it. The video of the explosion at the Kakhovskaya. I don't know if that's a difference between Russian and Ukrainian, or just because I've seen it spelled both ways, or maybe just translating Cyrillic into Latin letters. I don't know. Hydroelectric power station is old. Small area was blown up during the withdrawal of RF armed forces from the right bank of the Dnieper. So this, and I do, as stated in the earlier video that I made, do know that there was some parts of it blown up during the earlier withdrawal of the Russians back last year. So this is claiming the video of the explosions are not from this event, which may or may not be the truth. Okay, at 6:51 a.m., in Nova Kakhovka, they see that the dam is FUBAR, and the armchair generals start to realize that they are effed. Again, the mayor sharply changes his rhetoric and says there is no detonation. Instead, there was from the AFU, the link. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Again, this is the statement here. So, yeah. Here we go. The mayor of Nova Kakhovka, Vladimir Leonotev, denied the information about the explosion of the Kharkov station. At about 2 o'clock in the morning, a number of numerous strikes were carried out at the Kakhovskaya hydroelectric power station, in which destroyed the valves. As a result, the water from Kakhovka reservoir began to uncontrollably discharge downstream. Okay, so the point is that earlier the mayor says everything was quiet, and if you're in a town somewhat nearby, explosions, not just earlier video appears on Telegram, which allegedly depicts the flooded zone of the hydroelectric power dam. But okay, that's the second part there, or the third part. But big, significant explosions, you hear them for quite a ways, and likely would wake you up in the middle of the night. So he's going, and even if it didn't wake you up, a bunch of neighbors and other people probably would have heard the explosions, and when questioned, you would have, acknowledged that there were explosions. But so he's changed his tune. Is the point of that? Again, this is circumstantial evidence, not hard, conclusive evidence. But the propagandists who do not yet know what really happened continue to shove old talking points into the info space. This is a multi-generation, fourth generation, fifth generation, however you want to talk about it, war that is going on. I am trying to cut through the information. Not everything that the Ukrainians do is wonderful and great. Not everything the Russians have ever done is terrible. Starting this war, yes, that is wrong, and so they're responsible for the bad things that are happening. But we need to talk about what's really going on. Talking about how the dam was previously shelled and it finally gave in. Here's a post from the Russian War Channel on fakes. Okay, right. Let's go back here. I hope this isn't too... The first link comes up as not found. That was supplied in there. The second link here, again, archived here on Telegram. Here's a translation. On the night of June 5th through the 6th, the dam of Kakhovskaya hydroelectric power station broke, according to the head, the mayor, Leonetev. The armed forces of the Ukraine repeatedly attacked the hydroelectric power station earlier. The Ukrainian authorities also carried out uncontrolled discharges of water downstream from the Dnieper. The engineering facility received the most damage in November. And this is what I talked about before, 2022, during shelling by the armed forces of Ukraine on that. It is known that the lifting mechanisms and the valves that regulate the water supply were destroyed. More than 30 settlements located in the zone allege flooding. According to local authorities, the current water level does not yet require immediate evacuation of the population. Well, it's, if it's getting up to the waist in your house or something, that I would suggest to evacuate if you can. Other Telegram channels that cooperated with the military are exactly like Hooray, due to the explosive demolition of the Kakhovka dam. The positions of the AFU on the islands are being flooded, and they are trying to evacuate and save themselves as we continue to shell their positions. So that is coming here. Again, the translation here, we're looking, again, I'm going to the sources. I know this is a deep dive. I don't know why it keeps translating the flag over as UK, I guess. I don't know. Armed forces of, this is Google Translate, obviously. Armed forces of Ukraine are fleeing the islands near Kherson. Right now, they're being hit by Russian artillery and drones after blowing up the Kakhovka hydroelectric power station. The enemy floods positions on their part of the islands of the Dnieper. Units of the armed forces of Ukraine began an urgent evacuation, boarding boats trying to escape, but they are being continuously attacked by drones and strikes of UAVs. The boats are blown away by the current, and they're destroyed by fire and sink. I've not seen video of that, but could be true. The enemy sends new boats from shore trying to save their own, but they're also under fire. Positions on their side. So this is trying to say that, and I'm not really sure. The way it translates is that within here, that the Ukrainians blew it, but I don't know if they're trying to say here that it's translated that after it was blown, the Ukrainians on other Telegram channels cooperated with the military. Exactly right. That the one. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting a little right. Here we go. This is the next one here. Again, we can translate it here. Fate. The Russian military destroyed the dam of Kakhovka Hydra, and this announced by President of the Ukraine. This is again the Russian truth. The dam broke through the fault of the armed forces of the Ukraine and Kiev authorities. The hydroelectric power station was repeatedly shelled throughout the past year. There are numerous photos and videos of shelling of hydraulic facilities, including using the HIMARS. At the same time, official did not forget to blame the Russian Federation for possible disasters. According to preliminary information, there was no explosion today. Earlier, Kiev. See, again, they're going back to no. This is what the Russians are saying, that it's fake. That the Russians are saying that they didn't do it. They're saying the truth is the Ukrainians did it from earlier attacks. Primarily, there was no explosions today. Earlier, Kiev, which controls settlements upstream of the Dnieper, repeatedly uncontrolled discharge of water upstream. Proves the Ukrainian authorities are prepared for much of final advance. Okay, so that's a bit confusing, I know. But the idea is that there were no explosions. There was explosions. What's the story? Little by little, it dawns on the Russians, this is continuing the story, the Russians, that they have created a giant man-made ecological disaster comparable to Chernobyl. I think that's hyperbole. Irradiating the environment, however many people died directly or, directly at the Chernobyl thing, there were definitely people who died. And then, of course, had things that caused them to die years later, radiation sickness or whatever you want to say, probably quite considerable. Irradiating and then just irradiating a bunch of land versus flooding it out, and depends on the actual death toll here as to how comparable it is. But I don't think it's a big thing, but it's not a Chernobyl in my opinion. And they started very quickly to shift and reverse gear. Russian influencers are dramatically changing their tonality almost instantly. They begin to accuse the Ukrainian side of provocations, like this is an operation by the Bankova Street presidential administration. Okay. Links to same war fakes who previously said that the dam somehow collapsed by itself. All right, let's go again back to here. So again here from Telegram, again translating in it, you can see here, that's, I just copied and pasted. The criminal Kiev regime, don't know why whatever, fired at the hydroelectric power station at night as a result of shelling the structure of hydraulic situation, which subsequently led to the destruction of the spans under water pressure. The blow was allegedly delivered from an Alder, or does that mean Eagle? HIMARS, or MLRS, or Eagle MLRS. This is not the first time such terrorist acts been carried out by the regime. A recent example of the undermining of the span of the Crimean bridge. Yeah, well, we know. Now, the Ukrainians took responsibility for taking out the bridge across the Straits of the Kerch Straits Bridge. Sorry, I had to get that up in my mind. Okay, now they took responsibility for it, but the lack of consistency is evident. Some channels say that the dam was blown up. Some say it was fired upon by Valkar. I guess that's Eagles. So, although the combat Though any combat engineer or demolitions expert will give a 100% guarantee that it is practically impossible to inflict damage like that from outside the structure, meaning the explosives were planted inside. Right. Let's look at the last bits here. Okay, yeah, this is this guy here on Telegram who wrote all of this, and this is an English translation from it. So if you want to follow him on Telegram, I am not set up to follow on Telegram, so I don't. I leave it to some of the people who filter things for me to do so. Now, let's take a look at this again. This is not the type of damage you get by doing one of two things that have been claimed here. Now, I know these guys don't know what they're talking about. And you go, crisis report, you don't know what you're talking about either. And I'm making assumptions here. I know that. Opening a valve and damaging it so it can't be closed, say, doesn't collapse the dam. It just means the valve is stuck open. A valve is designed to allow water to flow. It is not like a crack in the dam that will slowly get larger and larger and larger as time goes on. It will just flow out. So it would be a somewhat controlled release of water that would just be unstoppable. I know that's sort of contradictory, but in that you can't control it. But yes, okay, let's pause this. Yeah, I'm looking at this structure here, and obviously there's no significant apparent damage. And yes, the Ukrainians can strike pretty good. But this is not the type of structure that you're going to get damaged with that's going to do this from artillery type shelling. Remember, when an explosion happens, the force goes away in the direction in which there is the least opposition. Meaning, if it lands here, the most explosive power goes, up into the air because there's nothing holding it there. So that you're going to cut through and damage something so far down to cause this level of collapse is going to either be a demolition, meaning placing of explosives. The other thing that I can think of, again, goes back to the dam busters of World War II, in which the British knew that no matter how big a bomb they dropped on the dams, they weren't going to collapse the dams. That's why they created a bomb that the plane flew along here at very low levels, dropped a rolling cylinder that was pre-spinning that would come along here, come and hit the dam, and sink down and then blow up. Because it needed to blow up down here where the water is going to be more flexible, more give than the dam, but the concussions through that water, the explosion down there low enough, is what's going to blow the dam. So, in my opinion, this is not just artillery strikes or something to blow the dam. This is either somebody gaining control of the dam long enough to plant, which, of course, the Russians would be the biggest likelihood, who currently control the dam, to plant the explosives and have it blow up. Or the other thing that I would think of today would be a unmanned submersible drone that, like the Crest Strait Bridge, which was a surface drone, as far as I know, you know, like an unmanned motorboat, basically, with lots of explosives in it. This would be an unmanned boat that would be programmed to come, and then potentially radio signal given at the right time, because it's sending information back and forth. Hey, I'm here. The operators realize here it's at the dam. Okay, tell it to sink itself. Open valves, fill bilges, whatever, so that it sinks down. That starts a timing clock that could explode. That would be a very neat operation to do. But I don't think, that's the only thing I can think of that an outside control attack that would be likely to do the type of damage we're seeing at this dam right now. So look at this building here. Are those windows? Yeah, this just doesn't look like it's been hit by a huge shock wave on the surface. This looks like it's collapsing because it's being undermined. So if you're talking about a big major missile coming and hitting and blowing up, I would expect to see more damage than that to the upper parts of the structure here. So yes, I am at the moment very much thinking this was a Russian operation gone wrong, or overachieved its results, and now what we're seeing from what's going on here. So that's my current take on it. I hope this was informative for you. Remember, keep checking back for more reports on the crises that are happening around the world.